surprised that it's still the same answer to background checks. As time goes on, the lack of background checks is costing lives in Nevada and elsewhere. State of Missouri saw a 25% increase in homicide by firearms since they took away a more comprehensive background check law they had in place. Looking at data, I think from 2007 and 2011, and I looked inside it. It's correct data, I'm sure. You know, here in Nevada, we're in the top 10 for deaths by gun violence. Year on year on year on year. We're in the top 5 for intimate partner homicide, women killed by intimate partners with firearms, and many of those guns are bought without background checks. And I don't know why we need to wait for an online portal. I spent 2 hours after you mentioned that searching for information about it. Is it an amendment to the bill? And I could find nothing. It seems like it's just something you're saying to take the issue and put it on a shelf instead of addressing it directly.
Well, Teresa, the answer is the same because your question is the same, and the position doesn't change. So, you know, the fact is, if we want to address the issue of gun violence, it's got to be a much more holistic approach than just background checks. Background checks are a piece of it. But the fact is, the vast majority of gun violence is perpetrated by individuals with a gun that's been purchased legally, that has gone through a background check, not from a gun that was purchased off the street or purchased without a background check. So that's number one. But we've got to do a lot better. One, we've got to get all the records necessary to run adequate background checks into the database. There is a huge deficit, especially when it comes to mental health information, in that repository, so that you can run a background check and get it, it's an okay to sell a gun to somebody, and that could be the wrong answer because the database is faulty. So we have to make sure the information is adequate. We have to prosecute those people that commit perjury when they try to buy a gun and check the form off and say that they're eligible to buy a gun or answer no to all the questions, when in fact they have committed a felony or they do have a restraining order or all those other things. We don't prosecute probably 10% of those that fraudulently fill out the forms. We've got to make sure that those that need mental health services get mental health services. I mean, that's been a big issue here in Southern Nevada, especially in light of what's been going on over at Ross and Neal. So there's a lot of things that we need to do, and background checks are a part of it. And I'm willing to work to get to that point. And I've worked, as I mentioned, I've talked to, now the bill hasn't come to the floor, so it hasn't even had a hearing in a committee. So there's no opportunity to offer an amendment until it's heard. But I have talked with both Mr. Thompson and Mr. King about my proposal. And if the bill gets a hearing in committee or if it comes to the floor, I would offer that amendment.
I just want to say I'm aware it's a complex issue, and I could see, you know, each and every one of the points. I agree about the problem with data and not prosecuting. But the fact is, the VA TFE without a director for 6 or 7 years and has been hampered. The fact is, funding for the types of things you're talking about has been hampered. The fact is, the background checks bill that...
Teresa, I understand where you're coming from. I know this is an issue that you're passionate about, but the position that I've stated today is the position I've had throughout this debate. It's the position that I will continue to have throughout this debate. I'm willing to address the issue in a holistic approach. I'm working with the sponsors of those bills to try to get the piece that I feel is important in there. And should the bill come to committee or come to the floor, then I will take the action necessary to get that in there.